Before we get into NFL takeaways, there have been some big roster shakeups at the wide receiver position. First of all, Davante Adams is now a New York Jet. Now, when he first voiced his displeasure with the Raiders organization, with the Raiders quarterback situation, I think it was pretty obvious from the jump that, hey, he wanted to go play with A-Rod. And that's exactly what has happened. For the Raiders, you weren't going much of anywhere anyways. So this, not having one of the better wide receivers in the game anymore, that can kind of give you reason to say, hey, now that, we don't have an aging veteran who's still pretty good, near the top of his game, now that you don't have that, you can really commit yourself to a rebuild because you don't want to have Davante Adams and still be a rebuilding team. You kind of want to build around that. But now that he's gone, I think it's time for the Raiders to go into a full rebuild. There's some talent on the defensive end too, like Max Crosby is a stud. However, Max Crosby is not going to fit the timeline of this new rebuild, so maybe he could get shipped off as well. Because the Raiders aren't going anywhere with this roster as it's currently constructed. So I think this is just one domino and there's going to be some others to fall. For the Jets, I'm sure Aaron Rodgers is happy, right? And ultimately, you didn't really mortgage your future too much to build around Rodgers now. You traded away, I believe it was a conditional fourth-round pick that could eventually turn into a second performance-wise. But, you didn't give up too much for Davante Adams. And when New York brought Aaron Rodgers in, the goal was to win now because Rodgers isn't going to be the long-term guy, but you need him to perform at a high level for the next couple of years. And, the season hasn't really got off to how they would necessarily want it to. And Garrett Wilson hasn't quite had the season to this point that I thought he would have. So why not go and add another great wide receiver who we know has really good chemistry with Aaron Rodgers? Not only are they really good on the field when they were back with the Packers, but they also are buddies in real life, right? So, it can kind of keep Aaron Rodgers happy as well. Same thing with a guy like Nathaniel Hackett at OC. Typically, you wouldn't want Hackett after so much of a lack of success in other areas. You wouldn't really want Hackett as your OC, but it keeps Rodgers happy. And at this point, that is what the Jets are trying to do. And so they bring in Davante Adams, and not only does that keep A-Rod happy, but it keeps him in win-now contention. Now, I don't know, with the way that this team is currently constructed, with, the firing of Robert Saleh, especially, you don't fire your head coach mid-season and then have high expectations after, right? But with the situation this team is in, I don't know that Super Bowl window is really open. You want it to be with Aaron Rodgers under the helm, but I don't know that it truly is. However, this does help your odds quite a bit by adding Davante Adams. And I saw someone say that, why'd they go and get Davante? They've got Mike Williams already. He's having a good year. Here's the thing, though. Mike Williams is no Davante Adams, right? And Garrett Wilson was drawing double coverage pretty much all season. And that kind of limited his offense because we haven't really seen much progression compared to years past. He was a 1,000-yard wide receiver his first 2 years in the league, playing with bad QBs, and then A-Rod comes in, and we think that's going to be a game changer for Wilson. And stats-wise, it hasn't really been. But teams have been doubling him all the time because they know that he is a threat. But now you can't do that because you got Davante Adams on the other side there, and you've got two wide receivers you got to look out for. So if you got Garrett Wilson fantasy, I don't think it's time to panic. And for Jets fans, room for Garrett Wilson, he's going to have a better year now, I think, just because it's going to open up more opportunities. And same thing for Davante. They can mutually coexist and mutually benefit each other. So overall, I think it is a pretty good, if predictable, move for the Jets. However, just with their current situation, I don't know if it really opens that Super Bowl window back up after a slow start to the year and the firing of Robert Saleh.